Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Google Workspace Recap, a tabGeeks network show. Each week we take you through everything announced by Google Workspace, discussing the updates of the week and other relevant news and announcements. My name is Jesse Nolan, my co-host is Steve Larson, and we're here to help you keep up. Glad to hear from our viewers that the audio issues have been fixed. Hopefully we can keep it up and keep bringing you the best Google Workspace and tabGeeks content. Steve, how's it going?
Well, it's going pretty good. I mean, speaking of bringing you the best content, we seem to be also the most consistent content regarding Google Workspace because,
Damn straight.
There were a few great contenders last year, other people in this podcast space, people that we've actually had on the show, and, kind of been a little quiet from them. I think I'd be glad to see them come back this year, see if they're going to be around. But we've been knocking an episode out every week, doing a couple extra ones for next and a few other special events. So
I think we're just roundabout near 75, or even may have surpassed that in a row. So
yeah,
that's a hell of an accomplishment.
Well, we're on the 12th one this year. We did one every week last year. That was 52.
And then we did a handful extra for...
Yeah. I'm just surprised we've done one every week. That was...
Me too.
So glad we've been able to do it. We've had a few delays here and there just with travel and other scheduling, but otherwise it's been pretty good. And speaking of kind of traveling and moving back and forth, I've had to be in the office a lot more these days where, I've been in about 4 days a week now, and I didn't realize how much I really enjoy being at home, working from home. Because it was the opposite. When I was going back to work, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm in the office a couple times a week. Great to meet everyone and see everyone here in the office. And now, like 4 days in a row, it's just like I gotta do some mornings from home and then go in the afternoon, and that seems to be balancing things out a little bit better. But I've got a bunch of new starters on my team, so I've got an intern that started the other week, so there's a lot of hand-holding there. Not hand-holding, but more of guidance and training,
onboarding,
tutoring, and I've got another product manager that started again a week and a half ago, and then I'm hiring a third one as well. So
nice.
I'm going to be in the office for a while until I can get some kind of relief and flexibility. But it's been good nonetheless. So yeah, if anyone out there is in the Chicago area, I think we do have some Chicago listeners, or if you know anyone that is in Chicago and
is willing to be in the office.
Well, yes, willing to be in the office 5 days a week. It is a kind of frontline in-person support role, and handling all of our requests. We have about 400 or 500 members that share our space, our office space. They're tenants either as individuals or as part of small to medium-sized companies. They kind of sometimes have some questions around kind of the basic stuff, so Wi-Fi, printers, those kind of things. We also have AV in a lot of meeting rooms. We have about 40 different meeting rooms and event spaces, so a lot of support with that. But if anyone is interested, check out the 1871.com website and look on the careers page. I think it's under Join Us and then Careers. So it's 1871.com, 1871.com. And feel free to reach out to me or apply and reach out if you have any questions. You can reach me at just the letter S, at 1871.com.
Nice. Love those short emails. Well done.
I mean, that is the benefit of managing the email.
Yep.
Super admin. Yeah.
I've actually bought abbreviated versions of the company name that they didn't have before, just so that I can be J at fourletterdomain.com.
Yeah, I mean, we can't get any much shorter than 1871.com. So
no, that's fantastic.
When I was thinking of like shortening some of our links for things, like a Google Doc links, I really didn't have to go out and buy a shorter domain. I just have to do, something like l.1871.com / random.
What did that cost them? Do you have any idea what it cost them and when they bought that domain? Or did they buy it back in the days when it was $1 for 10 years and they just had it since 1995?
So we had the pleasure of being funded and founded by the Pritzker Group. So for those of you in Chicago will know the Pritzker family. They are billionaires, essentially. They actually just bought a whiskey distillery recently.
Nice.
Or invested in one. I think they became primary owners in one. I can't remember which one. And then, he's also the governor of Illinois. So, yeah, there is that connection. So we are founded and funded substantially by Pritzker Group, and they actually own, or they have the registrar for another couple of years. They own the registration of that domain. I just own the DNS in Cloudflare, so I can make changes, but name servers are under their control.
So did they have the domain beforehand, and then they started the accelerator and then said, hey, here's a good domain, use it?
So I don't know the full history because I've only been there since November, but it used to be called CEC. It used to be Chicago Entrepreneurial Center. So that's what our official company registration name is. And at some point between 10 years ago, let's say, it was about 10 years ago that we were founded, and sometime after that, the name changed to 1871. So I don't know how they obtained it or how much they paid for it, but I'm sure it wasn't cheap.
I always find these stories interesting. Like, I believe it was Tumblr. The founder of Tumblr he found the person that owned Tumblr the way that it's spelled now. And obviously he doesn't own it anymore, but they had been negotiating. He was like, no. And so basically the founder of Tumblr, David something, I think, just basically showed up at this guy's local coffee shop that he goes to every day to work from with $5,000 in an envelope and said, give me this domain like right now. And the guy was like, okay, fine, sure, you can have it. Yeah. And they just took out their laptops and they made the transfer, and here's the cash. Or Buffer, which was bufferapp.com, I think, for years. They were one of my favorite social media scheduling tools that I've been using for basically a decade now. And they had a similar story where they wanted the domain and it was very difficult to get, and they eventually got to the point where they're like, all right, we're going to go for the .com and we're going to do it. And it was a whole negotiation and back and forth and this and that, and it cost them, I think, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's not cheap.
I think you gotta go. I mean, if you know that you've got a pretty popular domain and you got a company that's got some money and it's going to make some money, an upfront cost and then like rev share on future earnings is the way to go.
Oh, for sure.
Constant revenue there of selling that domain, kind of like what music industry does in terms of licensing revenue, or just gotta up the percentage there to be a little bit more than what artists get now.
Mm-hmm.
And of course there's no costs essentially you have to take out, but anyways, we digress. Let's get into
tremendously
the updates this week. We can keep going on and on about.
We got a whole bunch of actual updates this week.
Indeed. Yeah, we do. We've got 8 updates that came out, one of which we did mention, a couple others that are ones we've referred to or mentioned before, or they've been in some betas, I think. But a decent number of updates we have to talk about.
Scroll down past the page break there. It's number 9.
9. Oh,
9.
You know what?
9 updates.
You know what, Jesse? I forgot. I didn't have this for the longest time, but guess what? I'm just changing it now in our notes. Dun da da da.
Oh, the outline.
Pageless design. Pageless. Google Doc views.
Oh, you finally got it.
I know. Yeah, like months later. I've been changing many documents to this new design because it is beneficial. It's nice to not have those breaks in the content for the most part. It's still not perfect, especially on my huge screen, on my 43-inch screen. Like, it looks kind of okay on this laptop screen right now, where it's from my summary on the left-hand side and the main content in the middle and the white space on the right, it seems, I don't know, not aligned. I'm trying to think. The percentages seem okay. But when I have half of a 43-inch screen displaying a Google Doc, it's a little bit weird.
Oh, for sure. And I actually didn't even really notice that you had switched it to the pageless view, because I had it narrowed. I had the window narrowed because I have my camera basically almost on the edge of one of my screens, and then I have my notes directly next to it and you on the other side of it, so I kind of get a full spread here. And because I had the document so narrow, it just popped out the outline view, and I didn't even really notice that the page break turned into a line because I had it there right at the bottom of my screen. So I was like, outline was there, and then I was like, oh, that's not what he's talking about. So if you have it compressed, you won't necessarily notice it as much. But these are your templates, so they're not on the full the full pageless yet, so I'm sure you'll have
Yeah,
that changed now for the future.
I will, yeah. Of course, I might be doing that now, but we'll doesn't take too much to
All
change
right,
that.
let's do our table of contents of topics.
Ooh, pageless. All right, template done. Okay.
Focus.
All done. Future episodes will have the new pageless design.
Okay.
All right. So actually, there's nine updates. I think for some reason I thought there were 8. That was, oh yeah, as you said, scroll down. There's 9, but we kind of talked about 1, so there's kind of 8. So however you want to interpret that. And then we've got a few other topics here as well. So looking at the first release, which we did talk about last week, was that Google Sheets is doubling its cell limit. Next is that we can now view additional calendar statuses in Google Chat. Some background noise reduction is now available for Google Meet hardware devices, which is great. I kind of thought that was available already.
I'm surprised it wasn't.
I guess they were demoing it as individuals and not on the hardware. I thought I'd seen hardware demos of it before, but maybe that was happening on the demo, but then it didn't get released to the hardware until just now, of course. All right, but that's great. Great to see that. So those crinkly food items in the conference room are not going to be heard as much as they were before. There's a new email draft template in Google Docs. That's an interesting one. I've been looking forward to seeing what that's all about. You can now create surveys, quizzes, and more using the Google Forms API, as that is now generally available. So it's one of those beta items that are now GA. Next, we have number 6 on the list here. Expanded access management controls help support your information governance goals. So that seems to be a very, non-specific there, but we'll dive into the details of what that is. You can now schedule posts for multiple classes in Google Classroom. There is now built-in WebEx interoperability on Google Meet hardware, which has been expanded to devices with remote control. And then finally, you can view more information on email delegate activity in the security investigation tool. And I think we talked about this before on one of the previous updates, but the Drive audit logs, for example, have moved into the security investigation tool. Now, I'm wondering, that seems a little bit unusual, because what about for business organizations that don't have the security investigation tool, right? Is it not moving there for non-enterprise customers?
Guess we'll have to find out.
I guess we will, because I did see that pop up on my enterprise domains that it's moved, but I haven't checked all of my domains with the different non-enterprise licenses. And then, well, we have called it something slightly different to what Google called it. Google likes to call it unlock more choices with updates to Google Cloud Infrastructure capabilities and pricing, aka GCP price increases. Yeah. So storage costs going up, also going down, and more than likely, Google ultimately is making more money on storage costs. I'm sure they haven't reduced their bottom line. And then Chrome OS is rebranding to Chrome OS. This is a serious article, right?
That's a serious article. It's losing the space.
Yeah. You know what? I always wrote it without the space anyways.
Same. Yeah.
And I always thought that it was Chrome OS without the space anyways to begin with. So, it's about time, Chrome, because I've been doing it for ages.
Yep.
So I'm glad to see that they finally, made this change and adapted to the way that people actually write it. And then there's some usability studies you can fill out an application to help participate in. I actually got accepted into one, and I forgot to attend.
Whoops.
Yeah, I know. And they give you money. Like, they give you $100 to do this or something. Some are even more.
Yeah, this one's $100. I've been on ones that are up to $300.
Yeah. So they're good. So if you're, interested in providing Google some feedback, now this isn't just like fill out a form and get some money. This is, spend an hour,
chat.
right, talking to someone live, going through a demo, like this is, it's, you're spending an hour of your time going through this and giving feedback. You got to have something to say, so you can't really just wing it, really. So, I mean, you can if you know enough about Google. You can.
Might not invite you back.
Right. Yeah, you might get on the blacklist. So maybe use a different email next time. I don't know.
There you go.
But
yeah, I've done a bunch of these.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
I think, I don't think that, they don't get too much feedback. They probably don't do a lot of these with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you do get selected, I think it can make a difference if you have similar views to others in the admin community, and maybe you get a few others to join and provide some feedback. It hopefully can influence the way things get built and deployed for us. All right, let's dive into that first one. So pretty straightforward. Google Sheets doubling cell limits up to 10 million now. So more data, more capabilities.
Killed this last week.
We did, yeah, we talked about that. So we'll jump over that pretty quickly. It rolled out on Monday last week and available to all customers across Workspace and Legacy G Suite. So it's out there. Enjoy it, use it, and take advantage of the additional cell counts. Next, we have the ability to view additional calendar statuses in Google Chat. So just a way to kind of set your status with something other than the default ones. So you had automatic, do not disturb, and automatic do not disturb and set as away. So you can now add your own little status there, and some additional things that are changing. So when someone is out of office, so in addition to seeing when someone is out of office, you can now see other statuses like in a meeting or in focus time in chat there. And by being able to see this, hopefully you get some additional insight into what that person is up to and what they're doing. So hopefully you're also using chat because it's only available there.
Has this been in beta for a while?
Well,
I feel like I've had this for a long time.
Yeah, this could also be one of those alpha bundle features that we might have been seeing for a while, Jesse, because we're in that.
Yeah,
so
it's possible.
Yeah, there's a lot of blurred features between what's generally available and what we have access to. So.
Well, the ability to do this came with some of the other things that went GA, so I think the timing made me think it was part of the other rollout. Good thing I didn't say anything about it up until now. I break the NDA.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's like I think it's little blurred lines there. I don't know.
Well, what I want to see is that the ability to say, "Hey, I'm in this calendar event, sync it across to my chat that says in a meeting with so and so until X time," or something along those lines, if I give it permission to do so.
Oh, you mean you want to show who you're in the meetings with?
Yeah, or maybe even just the title of said meeting, so people are like, "All right, that's just so and so. We can interrupt that." But if it's a vendor, or if it's somebody else in the company that's not on the team or whatever, I'm not going to jump into that meeting, or I'm not going to bug them during that time.
Because you can always go to the person's calendar and see their details if they share it. Because you have two things.
Yeah, and that's why we do share our calendars internally so that you can do that.
Right. So I don't know. I think keeping that indicator simple and concise is better than showing more info there. I think in the way that it's kind of shown. And then, if you need more information, you can always go to the calendar to view that additional level of detail if you need it. But I see what you're saying. Just be one less place to go to click and look into it.
I just want the ultimate in contextual awareness. I want everything everywhere to know everything about anything I'm doing at all times. Yes.
Yeah. I was just watching. There's a movie on Disney Plus, and it's like Free Guy.
Oh, that was a great movie.
That? Yeah, I enjoyed that. I just saw it recently, and you have that.
It's relatively new.
Yeah, you have those glasses that he wears, and you have this, of course, it's like you're in a game in VR, and you have all these these things everywhere, and that's kind of the concept that you have of, I think what you're describing is that
Let's do it.
if you want to see everything everywhere all the time, you have this like constant heads-up display of information almost, and I don't know. Did you get a chance to use Google Glass? I used it. I loved it.
Yep.
I really enjoyed it.
Yep.
It was
Same.
There was definitely limited uses that I saw for it, like on a regular, consistent basis, but being able to have that information, I think, being able to have even more information visible to you, because it only showed information at certain times, with new emails or text messages coming in. It wasn't like a constant feed of information, which was kind of good, I guess. Photos was the thing I used it for the most. Like being able to just like wink and take a photo was great.
The wink. Walking down the street, winking at people.
Yeah, exactly.
I used to walk down the street and tweet, actually. I used to do the
Oh, yeah?
voice-activated tweeting. And even then, the microphone and the noise cancellation was pretty good, and I could see a little text on the screen as I was doing it. I used it for a month, and I maybe overused it because I started getting headaches after a while, where I was just wearing it like all day long. So I was kind of like just looking up at the screen there in the the top right. But yeah, I enjoyed the directions. I enjoyed being able to Google information, having the weather or whatever information in front of me, playing around with some of the other experimental stuff that they were doing, and learning about how other companies are doing, and thinking about how we could do this in the future. And it's a shame that future isn't really here yet, because there are a lot of valuable applications for it. You can actually get it. It's I think $2,000 a headset now, and you have to be ordering a shitload of them as part of the enterprise program. But that digital overlay to the physical world is still only just now starting to manifest with Google Maps, and a lot of the things that we saw with Glass back then is now being built into physical software on the phone, as opposed to just being the overlay. So I think that's coming, but I think the tech hasn't really caught up with the vision yet, and so.
Yeah, I just want to be wearing a contact that has it over the contact. I mean, that's. I think there's very early stage things with that happening.
It's another Google division.
Sure. Well, I don't know what Google. I think someone else is looking at it. But kind of taking a step back here, back to our update around the calendar availability. There will be admin controls for this. So you will see in the admin console a setting called display of calendar status in Google Workspace. And you'll have that out of office, in a meeting, and in focus time setting as an admin to turn that on or off. And then as a user, of course, if your admin's enabled it, that will then be visible to your colleagues. And rollout for this is a little staggered in terms of Android, iOS, and web. So for those Android and iOS customers on rapid release and scheduled release domains, it is on a gradual rollout up to 15 days for visibility starting on the 14th of March. Also for web rapid release domains, it also started on the 14th on a gradual rollout up to 15 days for visibility there. And then for scheduled release domains on the web, the gradual rollout starts on the 25th of March, and also up to 15 days for feature visibility there. And that feature, of course, was available starting on those specific environments on the 14th. Not available to Workspace individual users or users with personal Google accounts. Otherwise available to everyone.
Cool.
All right. Looking ahead here to the Google Meet hardware device enhancements. Background noise reduction is now available, and it is available on those Logitech room kits, those Asus room kits, and those Chromebase for meetings kits as well. So you can check out this YouTube video to learn more about noise canceling there in Google Meet. I think at one point I shared a video of when it first rolled out, how well it had reduced the sound of a cappuccino machine that was right next to my microphone.
I literally did that today, by the way.
No one could hear it. Yeah. No one could hear
I got a little quieter because it was canceling it out so much, but it was literally grinding the beans, and they couldn't.
Yeah, listening closely, you can hear a difference in the audio, but you can't actually hear the item making the noise.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool. Yep. And So it talks about where noise cancellation is not currently available. So it's not available for the Series 1 compute systems. Series 1 Meet compute systems will only use True Voice for noise cancellation, which requires a Series 1 Smart Audio Bar or Series 1 Mic Pod. Keep that in mind. So a little different capabilities there with the Series 1 equipment. So interesting that that's a little different. But True Voice, wonder how good True Voice is.
Is that the new Series 1 or the old Series 1? The link goes to the Lenovo system, the compute system specifically, not the new Series 1 hardware.
Yeah. Well, right, because it does. So have a look at that. It talks about which items there it refers to. It's just not too detailed on the Series 1 Meet compute system, but I think if you know it, I think if you have it, you know you got it. It's not available on that.
Right.
There's an admin setting for managing noise cancellation that will not change the behavior of those Series 1 devices at the time of the launch. It will be implemented in the coming weeks. So I'm just trying to look here. Series 1. Oh, yeah. So there's... Just trying to read what it says here with the differences in the Series 1s. So it says not available on the Series 1 2 words Meet compute system. So Series 1 being 2 words. And then they say that it will be changing later for the Series 1 with 1 word devices later on in the coming weeks. So Series 1 with a space and compute systems not available. Series 1 with no space and not a compute system available later. There you go. That's what it looks
All the
like.
links are going to the Lenovo hardware for Series 1. It doesn't differentiate between Series 1 with a space and without a space, but even the new Ava Core Series 1 Desk 27 and Board 65 are Series Space 1. So I don't know where it could just be a typo.
It just might be a typo, yeah. It might be. I thought maybe
we're nitpicky over here, but it may just be a typo.
It might be. You're right. It might be. That's all it might be. But
picking on the blog team again, Steve.
I mean, Chrome OS. I mean, they're doing a whole launch are about a space.
Maybe this is indicating a rebrand.
It might be. I don't know. Oh, Google.
I am still hitting up the Ava
has
Core
never been Google's
folks.
strong point.
Well, they're engineers.
Branding and naming has just not been their strongest point.
Google is at their core engineers, and so they name things code names, and it's up to marketing to figure out the other names. But I am still trying to get the hands-on with the Ava Core stuff yet. It's not ready yet, but I was talking to them again this week.
It's taken a while.
Yeah, they have a booth at a local show, and I was like, so you going to have any of that new Google Series 1 hardware? And they're like, nope, not yet. I was like, okay, never mind.
Yeah. So
anyway, other Series 1 stuff.
Interesting that this is not available to certain domains. So even though you might have a Google Meet hardware license, if you are on a Workspace Essential or nonprofit domain, this is not available. Interesting. I guess there's a lot of compute resources needed to run noise canceling, probably. And they're just not giving it to those Workspace Essentials or nonprofit customers, apparently.
Okay.
That nonprofit SKU is just weird. You never know what to expect on it. Yeah, I know, and I'm dealing with one of those now. So it's so far it hasn't been too problematic, but we've been a pretty simple org so far. All right. Admins, like I said, there is a noise canceling setting for you in the admin console, and users, you can toggle that on and off for each meeting, and can be enabled, disabled in the user or by the user in the device settings. Rollout for this one, it is starting or has started on the 15th of March for rapid release and schedule release domains, and as I said, not available on those Workspace Essential or nonprofit domains, but all others it is. All right. Next we have a new email draft template available in Google Docs. So making it easier to collaborate on an email draft in Docs. So I don't know if you've done this. I do this, decent amount of time. I am drafting up an email in a Google Doc because it is something that a bunch of people need to review, the wording and terminology. And I'm always, I'm kind of doing exactly what this template is doing. I'm putting, subject, colon, and then what I'm putting there, the to and the addresses, and then, the CCs, and I'm doing that manually, and I'm putting, 3 lines for each of those values and putting that in there. Well, now Google Docs is going to automatically fill that out for you as you start to make the doc think that you're, composing a drafted email document. And
well, it's one of the chips.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Actually, it's the way that you do it is you select one of the building blocks with the at symbol there, with that new accessible menu.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
Right.
I like that. Good execution.
Yeah. And I mean, do you see also what it allows you to do? Like right from the doc, it allows you to compose the email and then send it, which is even cooler. So yeah, I mean, this is a pretty cool feature. I really like this functionality, and although I don't use it a lot, I'm probably going to use it at least once a month, I would say, for the type of work that I do in terms of communication to the team and changes we're having. And I've already, I'm sure I've shared out a few of these already in the last few months of where I'm at, saying, hey, I'm going to send this email out on Friday. Do you want any changes on it? If not, it's going out, on Friday at 2 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, so you can even, do the schedule send from there, schedule it, and put a big warning saying, hey, it's going out Thursday unless you change it.
I wonder if you need to have Gmail open at the same time in another tab to make this work, or if it's just loading up.
Well, it's just loading up a little pop-up window there.
Compose window.
Doc. So I would think you probably don't, because it's just leveraging your identity and you being signed into Google to probably pull it up, not that you have another window of Gmail open. That is the beauty of it all.
Wonder what happens when you're signed into multiple accounts, Steve.
Well, it doesn't matter because I'm signed into multiple accounts using different Chrome profiles. And,
smart man.
And I think when we had Alex on, I brought up the fact that the admin console is limited to 20 Chrome profiles, right?
Mm-hmm. Did they fix it?
Well, they didn't fix it, but they acknowledged that it was a UI admin console limitation they put in place to minimize like load and the data and stuff that was there in the admin console. A Google engineer agreed to increase that to 35.
All right.
So I don't know when or if they're going to implement it, but it sounds like they agreed to increase it to like 30, 35, something like that. So
sounds like
I filed that
CR directly.
I filed that CR bug ticket. I put in the details of what was happening, and someone, responded. Someone else got CC'd. Another engineer said, why do you need it? What's happening? And I explained the use case, and they're like, all right, geez, I don't see any problem increasing to 30. How about 35? So
nice.
We shall
well
see.
Done.
Well, there was a feature like that that was part of the Chromium, CR bugs, and it was there for like 5+ years, and it just took forever. Even after they said, yeah, we're going to implement it. It took so long for them to implement it.
Well, hopefully it won't take as long this time for your sake and anyone else who has that multiple personality scenario going on.
Well, I think, all it takes is an engineer that has, 11 profiles in stable and 11 profiles in Canary to be at 22. And you only see 20 of those profiles. And I don't know. I mean, 20 doesn't seem like a lot to me when I have like a couple hundred.
Yeah, but you don't use them all.
Well, I mean, I do. I mean, within a week, I'm probably using all those profiles.
All 100 profiles?
No, not all 100,
That's
but
what I'm
like
talking about.
all 30 or 40 profiles that I
Okay,
have
yeah.
installed on that Chrome instance. I'm probably using over 20 of them in a given week. Yes.
That's a lot. I have
It's a lot. Yeah.
probably, I guess I have probably about 10 that I use on and off. I would say I use them all in a month or every
Yeah. I don't.
2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's more like, oh, I need to change this. Let me log into that account. Or I need to reference this. Let me log into that account. Or, oh, I need this file that's over there. Or, photo that's in one account and not in the other. And I'll jump from one to the other. Or do a configuration change on a different type of account. That kind of a thing. But usually it's, I live in 2 accounts. That's basically it.
It's weird. 2 is so few. Anyways.
Personal and business. Actually, they're both technically business and business, but one is my business, so it gets to be personal.
One of the comments on the bug was we actually have a request to kind of remove stale profiles that haven't been accessed for a while, which I think the combination of those two is actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I can show you actively used profiles and try to optimize what you see in there instead of just maybe showing it in chronological order, for example, in terms of profile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until you get to that max of 20. So I don't know if there's some logic that can be built in there, but that'd be nice to do that.
All right, onward.
Yeah. Onward, yes. I got to find my tab here of where we were at. So we're talking about that new draft template in Docs. Rollout for this one is rapid release domains. We're going to start seeing that. I have started to see that on the 15th of March on a gradual rollout up to 15 days for visibility there. And then rapid release domains have they've got to wait another day. So you'll probably be, as you hear this tomorrow on the 22nd, it will be on an extended rollout, potentially longer than 15 days for those scheduled release domains. And available with all Workspace customers as well as Legacy, G Suite, Basic, and Business. All right, now we have the Forms API beta going into general availability. So you can create surveys, quizzes, and more using that Forms API. And a lot of different use cases, of course, as to how and why you'd be using it. It's funny enough, I was looking at our member portal software tool that we use, a tool called Peoplevine. And we have a lot of forms in there. We have like 200 forms that we've created over the years. And we are looking to move them, most of them, over to HubSpot, which is our, now main CRM system for that type of information. And trying to export the form questions out of there is not easy because I don't think there is one actually in their system. So we're going to have someone copy and paste every single question to every single of the 200 forms to move them over. So
that sounds horrible.
That's why I got an intern. That's why I got an intern.
Smart.
So intern was working on that today. He was getting some of the high level statistics because part of the forms is also how frequent they've been used and how many have been submitted in the last 7 days. So we're gathering that initial top level information first before we dive into, all right, which forms we're going to target to migrate into
Teaching
into
them
our
keyboard shortcuts.
You know what? He's pretty smart. So I definitely am. He did not know about keyboard shortcuts for Gmail. He was also deleting emails, which I, told him don't delete in Google, just archive.
Well, it depends on the email, but yeah, I
does,
generally agree with you.
Yeah, right, of course. I mean, this is obvious spam and whatever you don't need. But there was
newsletters.
There was testing that we were doing together, and it was around groups. What does it look like when you are a member of a group? When when you add it to your inbox as an alias, what is the how does it behave, for example? So he was sending a bunch of emails from his account, and then I needed to go back and look at that behavior and compare it to what was in the group and what I was receiving as a user. And I went in, I delegated access to his account, which another topic for this week. We'll talk about that in a sec. Delegated access to his account and looked for that email because I wanted to just grab the screenshots. It wasn't there. And I'm like, what do you mean it's not there? Like, we just did it yesterday. It was in his deleted items. So the one about keyboard shortcuts and the letter E, which is archive, and why not to delete emails? So
Unless you're me, who's done custom shortcuts, and the letter A is archive, because A for archive actually makes sense. And the one time you and I were sharing an inbox, I almost drove you insane.
I was like, why isn't the E working?
A is archive, D is delete, C is compose. It's all logical, Steve. I've been doing it for a decade.
I mean, it is when it is if it isn't, I guess. If you read the docs, it's not what the docs say.
So,
anyways,
my way's better.
Well, whatever.
It's just home row.
ASDF, right?
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah.
Right hand's on the mouse, left hand is on the home row, and there you go. Plow through my emails. That's what I do.
Yep. All right. Well,
a debate API, for another day.
Forms API. Here we go. All right. 1 sec.
Oop, time for another drink.
Just something caught in my throat there. So admins can use the admin console to kind of manage which integrations are authorized to access this workspace data. So you can, control your end user's access into this API if you need to. But otherwise, lots of info in the developer forum to kind of get up to speed on how to use this, and available to all users that can access the Forms API, and available to all customers of Workspace G Suite, as well as personal Google accounts. So available to all. We have next here some expanded access management controls to help support your information governance goals. So this is a feature that I thought I'd seen ages ago. I thought it rolled out, and I was digging around articles for a customer and trying to find when they had announced this. But I guess I'd seen early access to it or something like that, because here it is. What this will allow you to do is limit when Google staff can take, or which Google staff can take support cases in relation to your data. So this is, very specific in terms of which customers are going to kind of find this beneficial. But there are some CJIS standards, so Criminal Justice Information Services standards, and an IRS publication 1075, which restrict access to certain personnel within Google for this information. So if you are one of those organizations that come under those regulations, then this will be something that you would find very useful. So you, as an organization, need to purchase Assured Controls add-on, and you can assign licenses and manage this feature in your admin console under Access Management. And users assigned the policy will have any data owned by them restricted to designated selected personnel within the support teams. So you can also look at the access management details of the use of this product, or the use of these features, in the access transparency logs, and kind of look in terms of some of the CJS and IRS 1075 requirements, some links to that. This will be rolling out by the end of March, and if you are a customer that needs this, I would probably say reach out to your reseller or Google account manager. I did not see a link to where to go purchase this in the getting started section there, but I have not seen pricing on it either. So as we are going through the additional updates that Jesse will probably be covering, I can probably look up to see if there's anything in terms of pricing.
I was just looking through here. They have a they link to a post on Google Cloud blog. And they mention in this post, and this post was from the beginning of March, that on Wednesday, March 3rd, they'll be diving deeper into Google Workspace security in Google Cloud Security Talks. That was an event that we highlighted was up and coming here a couple of weeks back. And clicking on that link, I can see that Javier Soltero actually was one of the ones that did a talk on this future of work and expanding data governance for Google Workspace. So if you want to learn more about this, all you have to do is go to the link for that event and register if you didn't already, and they have all of the sessions available on demand, so you can learn more about that, as well as the confidential computing system, security telemetry Chronicle, which I keep hearing good things about, so we're going to have to get somebody on to talk about Chronicle. But it also talks about Chrome Enterprise Security, a deep dive, using machine learning to create safer networks. So very, very interesting security focused event. If you missed it, go and check it out.
Yeah. So I don't have the costs in here, but I do have some details. It does look like this needs to be ordered through the partner sales tool, and prerequisites for it is that you need to have Google Workspace Premium support. And let's see, what is also prerequisites? I think that is the main prerequisite, to have premium support already. And I think premium support is tied to enterprise tiers. There's some details around support levels in your SKU comparison doc, as well as with the official Google documents as well. So so there's some details there. I don't see any specifics on cost, though, so I was trying to find what that would cost. So let's see, just says contact sales and calculate premium support cost. So there's a way to kind of calculate it. But Google Workspace, let's see, Google Workspace spend. Is that per month? I don't know.
All right, we'll have to figure it out and get back to you.
Might be a lot. I know. Yeah, there's a lot of cost associated with this in the cost calculator. It's like $12,500 per month, which seems excessive.
Well, the organization that was quoted discussing the rollout of this was Verizon, so it's obviously meant for the much bigger groups.
Might be a little pricey for most organizations.
Right.
Yep. All right. 3 more to go. We have scheduled posts for multiple classes in Google Classroom. So what's changing here? So teachers can now schedule posts across multiple classes in Classroom on the web, and teachers can use the assignment scheduling flow to configure the due date, the post date, the topic, and the rest of the assignment will remain the same. So really useful for creating repeating assignments and just having different due dates. So I've used this in kind of business situations. So this could be really useful for, having, let's say, your onboarding training, and you have a class for your group of new hires, and you want to replicate the assignment that you have for those new hires, but they need a new due date because it's a new group of people coming into that classroom, and you don't want to duplicate all that work and on the assignment, but you just want to make these due dates and post dates and topics a little bit different. So it can be pretty useful for that. And then of course for education, I think there's a lot of benefit there for repeating these types of things with teachers and students. Rollout on this one started the 17th of March on a gradual rollout, up to 15 days for visibility on both those rapid release and scheduled release domains. It's going to be available to Workspace Education Fundamentals, Education Standard, and then Teaching and Learning and Upgrade, as well as Education Plus customers. Yeah, of course, it's not going to be available on the business customers. That's weird. Really useful. Not available to Essentials, Business Starter, Business Standard, Enterprise, yada, 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 yada. Basically, it's only available for education customers in Classroom.
They keep doing that. It may come later, just like the other features that they did, where they rolled out
like,
education first.
Yeah, maybe. I guess it's. I don't know why they would limit it, though. I don't see what the.
Beats me.
Yeah, I don't either. Beats me too. All right. Some additional interoperability here. So this is built-in WebEx interoperability on Google Meet hardware is expanded to devices with remote control. So with the latest update, they've added WebEx interoperability for support for Google Meet hardware devices that use only a remote control. So I guess there's specific hardware that only uses a remote control. So trying to see an example here of what it is they actually mean here. I'm not quite sure.
Sounds like older hardware.
Hardware devices that only use a remote control. So it must be those old ones, right? That don't have the control unit and the touchpad. Yeah. Is that what they mean?
Probably, well, the next line here is that it will now be available across all supported Google Meet hardware devices that have not yet reached their auto update expiration date. So it sounds like this is filling out the rest of the stack of the older ones that are still within update period. So yeah, it's probably one of the older models.
Right. Yeah. So available in the Admin console to kind of set this at your device level settings if you want to make this available, and then your end users can kind of join that by selecting join a meeting using your remote control and selecting WebEx from the drop-down options. Or you can join a scheduled call by adding a room to an event with WebEx meeting details. And there's a little note there about calendar events that originate outside of Google Calendar must be duplicated and populated with room details manually. There you go. Rollout on this one is that it's available to everyone, both rapid release and scheduled release domains, to those Workspace customers as well as G Suite Basic customers that have the Google Meet hardware devices that, as you said, have not yet reached their auto update expiration date. And then lastly, we talked about the delegation that I did on our interns account. So you can now view more information on email delegate activity in the security investigation tool. So, I mean, they've really, this is pretty extensive in terms of what you can now see in this. So admins can now surface post-delivery actions taken by delegated users in the security investigation tool. So you can now specifically see if a delegate has opened, replied, or marked a message as unread, moved a message to the trash or back to their inbox, clicked links or attachments, or downloaded attachments. So pretty much you've got some pretty good visibility in terms of what a user is doing in someone else's inbox, which is great to see because it was kind of this, black hole of, just give that person access to your account and they can see everything and do everything and you don't really know what they're looking at. So now you can, as an admin anyways, not as an end user. But I'm sure that the person who has asked for their access to be delegated to someone might want to know what someone has been doing in their account. And they may request this. So you might see as an admin, maybe some requests to IT saying, hey, can you show me what, John was doing in my account last week when I gave him access? Because I'm hoping he wasn't snooping around looking at things he shouldn't have. So just a word of warning, if you have access to someone else's account, they're going to be able to see what you're doing there now. So be careful. And some ways to do this in the admin console is you can go to the security investigation tool, go to Gmail log events, and you pull up delegate, and then you say has delegate. And then you're able to see a whole bunch of stuff happening. Rollout for this one started a couple days ago on the 18th of March, and there's a full rollout on this one for rapid release and scheduled release domains for 1 to 3 days for feature visibility. Only going to be available to Workspace Enterprise Standard, Enterprise Plus, Education Standard, and Education Plus customers. Jesse, take it away. I need a break. My voice is really sore.
That's that's the end of the security investigation tool. The next one is also you. You were talking about this before. The GCP pricing is increasing, although, as Google calls it, unlock more choice with updates to Google Cloud's infrastructure capabilities and pricing. And there is one thing to their credit. They do say, will customers' bills increase or decrease? And so they say that some customers may see an increase in their bills. They're also introducing new options for some services to better align with usage, which could lower some customers' bills. So you are definitely going to want to talk to your account folks and figure out how best to make sure that you're optimizing it properly, basically.
Right. Yeah. But I think probably what they're doing there is there's probably some discounts on long-term storage, and you've got to just put in some retention policies and move some things around from, nearline to cold line storage to archive, those kind of stuff. And that can help save on some data costs. So you can't just store stuff there and make it, top level kind of accessible, top tier accessible. So probably see some increased costs there. Exactly.
Yeah, they do specifically call out storage transfer service. Consider using the storage transfer service to select the right cloud storage bucket locations. Storage transfer service will be available free of cost for transfers within cloud storage starting April 2nd until the end of the year. So definitely something to take a look at. Although if you're under contract, Google Cloud account representatives are available to discuss these changes. I love the wording in these articles.
Yeah. I think maybe they'll stay the same for a little while. I'm not sure. They might stay the same for the contracted pricing.
Probably. Isn't that the entire point of the contracts?
Probably. I mean, it's probably like getting under contract with Workspace licenses. There's probably I'm sure there's some flexibility that Google's built into that, though, for these types of things. So.
Yeah, for sure. All right. The next one that we have here is, yes, it is a real article. Google is rebranding Chrome OS, or should I say Chrome OS, to Chrome OS. One word, no space. It's the end of an era. For a decade, they have had a space in between Chrome OS, but they now join the ranks of Mac, who is just Mac OS. Apparently... even though it's Chromebooks has been one word here for a long time, Chrome OS, even though Steve and I have pretty much always used it as one word, Chrome OS is, in fact, two words, although it has been stylized as one word with lowercase c. So I think this is why they're probably looking around to clean up some of the some of the messaging subliminally or otherwise around their products, similar to the issues that they've had over the years with chat strategy and things like that, is just to clean it all up as they mature. They are the second most popular operating system in the world now, so it's time to grow up a little bit and make sure that these things are tightened up and cleaned up. So less confusing, more unity across the board in various areas of Google, whatever's referenced at Chrome OS, and so on. So, hey, it's a good change. Like we said, engineers, they've finally gotten around to changing it. So, apparently this will also happen to the open source version. So Chromium space OS will become Chromium OS. We shall see. Probably not showing up officially for a little while because we're already seeing Chromium versions up to 101 in the channels. So I don't know, which do you prefer? I've been using it this way forever, so I'm probably not even going to notice it
without the space, of course. You know that.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last one we have here is, as we said at the top of the episode, participate in an upcoming Google usability study. I've gotten some of these studies are $300. You just get a gift card. Check with your employer that you are allowed to accept gifts, or maybe make a deal with your employer that you do it not on company time. Take your lunch break and have the hour-long meeting with the Google usability study, and so therefore it's more kosher or something along those lines. I don't really entirely know how that works with all of the different companies. Certainly if you're regulated, you probably can't do this, but always worth asking because, hey, $300, and then they give it to you on a what do you call it? A localized system for choosing either gift cards to, just a Visa card or a MasterCard, or a whole bunch of different stores that you can buy from, including Amazon, Best Buy. I think even Apple's on there. So you have to accept the terms of their informed consent form. Say that 5 times fast. It is a recorded session, so you have to be allowing them to record the audio or the video. You have to have an active Gmail account that you can log into during the study session and join the meet from that. So I'm pretty sure that everyone listening here has one of those. And somewhat comically here, have a computer with a working video camera, microphone and speaker, and a broadband internet connection, DSL, cable, T1, all fine. Good times. But yeah, I've done a bunch of these. They're pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and it gives you a somewhat of an inside view into the thoughts of what's going on and what they're looking to change, and where their thinking are in terms of whatever product it is. This one I think has to do with, if I'm not mistaken, perhaps the admin panel. I'm trying to remember which one it was, because I've responded to a couple of these forums because, again, I like doing these. I got these headphones that I'm wearing now, not through a usability study, but through a different, we'll give you a pair of headphones if you take a sales meeting with us. And I was like, sure, I'll talk to you guys for that. And then, it didn't go anywhere, but hey, free headphones. So if you're looking for some free cash, go ahead. It's an hour of your time for $100, and you can perhaps have a small part in helping steer the direction of a existing or upcoming Google product. And that's pretty much that. That's our show. A little bit longer. Steve and I were taking bets before the show here. Not taking bets, but we're trying to gauge how long we thought we would go based on the amount of updates, given that last week there were like none, and this week there's a whole bunch. And we both said, 40, 45 minutes, and we just clocked in over an hour. So I guess we're not as good at gauging how long we thought it would be as we thought we were. But anyway. I'll wrap it up then. That's all for this week. Send us your questions and comments on Twitter at Workspace Recap and on our website, workspacerecap.com. Hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening and or watching. Please leave us a review or drop a comment down below if you're over on the YouTube side. Give us 5 stars, thumbs up, whatever the rating is. Tell everybody that we're awesome. Tell your friends. Have a great week, and we will see you next time on Workspace Recap.